Assalamualaikum everyone, this is Saida and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, then please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon. Today I am going to explain a very short and easy summary of Macbeth by William Shakespeare. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. The play takes place in Scotland, and initially we see that the King of Scotland is at war with the King of Norway. The King of Scotland comes to know about the bravery of Macbeth and decides to give the title of Thane of Cawdor to Macbeth. Then we see that on their return from the battle, Macbeth and Banquo meet three witches. The witches tell them this prophecy that soon Macbeth will be Thane of Cawdor and King of Scotland, and also Banquo will be the father of kings. Soon, when Macbeth hears this announcement of his new title as Thane of Cawdor, he tries to think of the murder of Duncan in order to prove the witch's second prophecy true. Macbeth informs Lady Macbeth about this prophecy given by witches. Lady Macbeth then tries to insist Macbeth to kill Duncan. She taunts him, saying that he would be a real man if he succeeds in killing Duncan. She then plots this plan with her husband of murdering Duncan while his drunken bodyguards will be sleeping, and then they will put all this blame on his bodyguards. Before starting the second act, I want to add one thing here, that Duncan is the King of Scotland, in case you don't know, and Macbeth wants to kill him so that he would become the king. Anyway, in the second act, we see that Macbeth has this vision of a bloody dagger floating before him, leading him to Duncan's room. Then, after hearing the signal from Lady Macbeth, he gets ready to execute their plan of murdering Duncan. Macbeth is then haunted by his conscience, which he says won't let him sleep peacefully anymore. Lady Macbeth accuses him of his weakness and plants the daggers on the bodyguards herself. She asks Macbeth to wash his hands and assures him that a little water clears us of this deed. After this, they decide to pretend as watchers when the news of the murder arrives at them. The Thanes, Macduff and Lennox arrive, and Macbeth kills the two bodyguards, claiming that he did so because he saw these bodyguards with the bloody daggers. Duncan's son, Malcolm and Donalbain get frightened for their lives and flee to England and Ireland. This act brings them under suspicion of conspiring against Duncan. Macbeth is thus crowned King of Scotland. In the third act, we see that Macbeth tries his best that the third prophecy of the witches about Banquo becoming the father of kings doesn't come true. So he hires two murderers to kill Banquo and his son Fleance. Lady Macbeth is left uninformed of these plans. A third murderer also joins the other two, and the three men kill Banquo. But Fleance somehow manages to escape. Next, we see that Banquo's ghost appears to Macbeth as he sits down to a banquet. He gets frightened and acts in a strange way. Lady Macbeth attempts to cover up for his odd behavior, but the Thanes begin to question Macbeth's sanity. Macbeth decides that he must revisit the witches to look into the future once more. Meanwhile, Macbeth's Thanes begin to turn against him. Macduff meets Malcolm in England to prepare an army to march on Scotland. In the fourth act, the witches show Macbeth three visions. The first warns him against Macduff, the second tells him to fear no man born of women, the third prophesies that he will fall only when Birnam Woods comes to Dunsinane Castle. Macbeth takes this as a prophecy that he is safe and nothing would happen to him. Meanwhile, in England, Malcolm tests Macduff's loyalty, and when he proves his loyalty to Scotland, the two strategize against Macbeth. Because back in Scotland, Macbeth has Macduff's wife and children murdered. In the last act, we see that Lady Macbeth suffers from psychological issues. She reveals her guilt to the doctor as she says that she cannot wash her hands clean of the bloodstains. Macbeth is busy in his preparations for battle, so he couldn't pay much attention to her. When the English army led by Malcolm, Macduff and Seward approaches, Lady Macbeth's cry of death is heard in the castle. Macbeth doesn't feel bad for her. In fact, he says she should have died at a future date. Macbeth still believes that he is safe from the approaching army, but Malcolm has instructed each man in the English army to cut a tree branch from Birnam Wood and hold it up to disguise the army's total numbers. Macbeth is shaken when his servant tells that Birnam Wood seems to be moving towards the castle. Thus, the second prophecy of the witches proves to be true. Macbeth kills young Seward, the English general's brave son, during this fight. After this, as Macduff and Macbeth fight in the battle, Macduff reveals that he was not of woman born, but was untimely ripped from his mother's womb. Macbeth is stunned because that was the third prophecy given by the witches. He still manages to fight, but Macduff kills him and decapitates him. At the end of the play, Malcolm is proclaimed the new king of Scotland. So this was our today's video. If you find it helpful, then please don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you in my next video. Allah Hafiz.